Good morning, everyone. This is Brian from the Better Business Bureau. Thank you for joining our webinar today. We're going to first just start off introducing you to the Better Business Bureau, go over a few front-end things about the resources that your Better Business Bureau is offering to you. And then we'll get started and hand it over to Victoria from the SBA to go over the different loan products available to your business. So this is the Better Business Bureau is a nationwide organization with over 100 offices serving North America. This is your Better Business Bureau serving West Florida. We are located physically in Clearwater, Florida, serving 11 counties in West Florida. We have 5 offices in the state of Florida that can serve you as businesses in the state of Florida. So we have the Better Business Bureau serving Northeast Florida up in Jacksonville. The Better Business Bureau is serving Southeast Florida and the Caribbean down in West Palm Beach. We have the Better Business Bureau of Northwest Florida up in Pensacola. We have the Better Business Bureau of West Florida, which is our office in Clearwater. And then the Better Business Bureau serving Central Florida, which is in Longwood. Anytime you need the Better Business Bureau, the easiest place to go is bbb.org. And when you go to bbb.org, you can gather any information you need as a business to find out all the resources you need from your local Better Business Bureaus. As you'll see when you go to bbb.org, right at the top there, we have a link that says coronavirus. And if you click on that, that will take you to our landing page. And this landing page provides both consumers and businesses all the resources that you need to help avoid scams, and also resources up here at the top in the blue bar as a business owner, how to avoid scams as a business, but also all the tools necessary and resources for you as a small business. The Better Business Bureau is basically a central source of all the information out there to help provide you with the adequate information as a business to get the information you need to make smart business decisions, avoid scams, and find the funding and the information you need out there. BBB also has a product called BBB Scam Tracker. BBB Scam Tracker is a tool to allow both you as business owners and consumers to be a hero and report scams as they're happening in the marketplace. We have a dedicated scam type called COVID-19, as you'll see here on the left-hand side of the scam tracker. And so far this year, nationwide, consumers and businesses have reported over 696 scams to BBB Scam Tracker. This allows the Better Business Bureau to stay ahead of the game, find out what scams are happening in the marketplace, and help warn you as a business owner and as a consumer on how to avoid those scams out there. Now I'm going to introduce Victoria. What we found out is this Monday, an additional $320 billion was approved for the Payroll Protection Program, and the SBA has resumed accepting Payroll Protection Program loan applications, as well as their EIDL loan, and there could be some other programs out there available to you. So Victoria is the District Director with the SBA South Florida District Office. A little bit more about Victoria. She is a leadership and business expert with more than 20 years of experience leading, managing, and transforming both private sector corporations and public sector entities. Her transformational leadership, business management skills, and ability to change business cultures has allotted her the opportunity to positively impact businesses and communities. As a South Florida native and prior small business owner, Victoria has always had the entrepreneurial spirit. With clients ranging from construction to real estate to media, her passion has always been helping small businesses grow. As the District Director of the U.S. Small Business Administration, South Florida District, Victoria is responsible for leading one of the highest job creation districts in the nation. She oversees the delivery of agency programs such as financial assistance, management counseling, and business development throughout South Florida area, which encompasses the 24 counties in southeast and southwest of Orlando. Victoria holds a master's in business administration, bachelor's in communication arts, and holds multiple professional and industry certifications. In today's webinar, Victoria will be giving a short presentation followed by questions and answers. So again, everyone comes into the webinar on mute. If you have questions, type those in your question panes. And after Victoria's presentation, we will go through those questions and have her answer those to you. Victoria, are you there?
I am. Thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate it. And thank you again, Brian, to you, your team, and the Better Business Bureau for having me here today to speak with your small businesses. I really do appreciate that.
And thank you for having us, being here today, Victoria. And I'm changing you to a presenter now, so you should be able to pull up your screen here shortly.
Great, thank you. Let me know when you see it.
I do see it, yes.
Okay, excellent. So welcome everyone to our SBA Disaster Relief webinar. Today we're going to talk about two of our main programs, our disaster relief program. One is called the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, also known as EIDL or EIDL for short. This particular loan is your long-term solution whenever any disaster hits, not just for the coronavirus, but if we get hit by a hurricane. This is our traditional program that the SBA always offers our small businesses. So what the EIDL is that the funds here should be used to pay fixed debts, payroll, accounts payable, basically any cost that you have to keep your business running. Business owners can be approved for up to $2 million. The interest rate is 3.75% for small businesses and 2.75% for private nonprofits. And the repayment term is up to 30 years. Now, loans over $25,000 do require collateral, such as form of, in the interest of business interest or real estate. But if it's less than $25,000, no collateral is required. Now, for this particular program, for this disaster that we're in today, the coronavirus, the SBA has added a loan advance of up to $10,000 that small businesses can get. And this is calculated at $1,000 per employee, up to $10,000, and it does not have to be returned. So that's what's really nice about that particular advance. The deadline to apply is December 18th, 2020, but as we've all been seeing on the news, the funds go by very, very, very quick. So I urge everybody to apply as soon as the portal opens up. Right now, the portal is not open. They're doing some maintenance checks behind it to make sure everything goes smoothly. But where you would apply is going to sba.gov/disaster. There would be a red button there that you click on there and it opens to a portal. It's only a 3-page application, really quick and simple. It will not ask you for any financials to be uploaded. The way it works is that you fill out the intake form, in essence, that's what it is. And then later you will get an email from a loan officer saying, thank you for your application. You know, we will need these following forms. And that's when they'll ask you for things such as your income tax. You know, they might ask for your profit and loss statement, things of that nature. The economic injury disaster loan, for the majority, many types of entities are eligible. Small businesses with 500 employees or less, 1099 employees can apply, sole proprietors, most private nonprofits, faith-based organizations, agriculture cooperatives, all of those types of businesses can apply. Those that are not eligible are agriculture enterprises. If you are an agriculture enterprise, I suggest you contact the USDA because they do have programs to help you. Other non-eligible entities are real estate developers, gambling organizations, racetracks, casinos, things of that nature. So you've heard me say a few times now a private nonprofit, and a lot of people say, well, what is that? I had to learn what this was myself. So it's an eligible private nonprofit organization is a non-governmental agency or entity that currently has one of two. The first is an effective ruling letter from the US IRS granting them exemption under sections 501C, D, or E, or under the IRS Code of 1954. Or number two, satisfactory evidence from the state that the non-revenue producing organization or entity is a nonprofit one that is organized and doing business under state law. If you fall into one of these, then you will qualify for this program. So did you know you can actually have an SBA disaster loan from a previous disaster and still qualify for the EIDL loan? The only thing is you can't combine both loans together. You got to keep them separate. Business owners can also apply for the EIDL and the Paycheck Protection Program at the same time, and we're going to speak about the PPP shortly. And also, if you're denied for the EIDL, you do have up to 6 months in which to provide new information and submit a written request for reconsideration to the SBA. Now, how to apply? Typically, you would apply, as mentioned, by going to sba.gov/disaster, but the portal is closed. We're hoping that the portal will open up either this week or next to begin to accept applications. Now, you can also apply by phone and by email, but I don't recommend it because it will take a lot longer. But if you do have any questions in reference to your application or this program, you can definitely call 1-800-659-2955, 1-800-659-2955. Or if you're hard of hearing or deaf, you can call 1-800-877-8339. You can also email them your questions at disastercustomerservice@sba.gov, disastercustomerservice@sba.gov. Now, the SBA has many partners. We call them our resource partners. The SBA, along with the federal government, at times the state, we fund these programs so they can help us in counseling and helping our small businesses. And they, just as us, the SBA, we're here year-round, not just during times of disaster, but throughout the year to help our small businesses start and grow their businesses. So we have the SBDC, Small Business Development Centers. We have our local SCORE chapters. We also have women business centers and veteran business opportunity centers. So if you would like to find a center close to you, just go to sba.gov/local-assistance, type in your zip code, and you will see which centers are closest to you. They are offering small businesses currently to review their applications for their loans, to answer any questions they may have. They can also review your financials. Make sure that all of your packet is ready before you submit it to the SBA. And all of these services, again, are free of charge to the small business owner. So now let's take a look at the Paycheck Protection Plan. This has been a very popular program. This program is one that will help you keep your employees for the next 8 weeks. So it's a short-term program. Remember, the EIDL is a long-term program to keep you up and running. This is a short-term program. But there are many items to this program that are very attractive to small business owners. So first, the loans will be for up to 2 months of your average monthly cost from last year, plus an additional 25%, up to a 10 million cap per application. These are forgivable loans. This is why it's so attractive. 75% of funds are for 8 weeks of payroll, and 25% of funds are for mortgage interest, rent, and utilities. If you use it in this manner, 100% of your loan will be forgiven after that 8-week period. Now, headcount and salary must be the same. If it reduces, then the forgivable amount will also reduce. Now, if you do need to use funds for other business expenses, let's say you want to purchase some inventory, you absolutely can do that, but you will have to repay that percentage of funds that you used, other than the categories mentioned, at a 1% interest rate over 2 years. This program has no collateral, no personal guarantee. The deadline is June 30th, but the funding is limited and it will go very, very quickly. So I urge you to, go to your local bank and start applying. This particular program, the application is through our banks, and we also have approved other entities to help with the applications, such as PayPal, Square, Intuit. These online entities can also help you with that. My recommendation is to go to the smaller to medium-sized banks, just because they seem to be able to run much quicker with the applications than the larger banks, from what I've been told with small businesses. To find a bank near you, you can go to sba.gov/paycheck protection/find. But I can tell you the list on there may not be updated because every day we're putting new lists, new banks, new companies up there. Credit unions can also help you. So my recommendation is just look around your community and see, and call different banks and see which ones are able to assist you. They have to be an SBA approved bank, but right now we have over 5,200 across the nations that are SBA approved. So chances are you'll run into one. So when you go to apply, how much do you need to apply for and what do you need to submit? Well, the calculation is you got to look at your payroll costs for last year and you divide that by 12. So that gives you your monthly average payroll cost. Then that amount you multiply by 2.5%. And then that is the amount you're going to put on your application. Now remember, employees are capped at 100,000. Excuse me. So if you have an employee that makes, let's say, 120,000, you need to change that calculation and only have them make 100,000. And then do your payroll calculation as we mentioned. Excuse me, my voice is going, so I had to drink a little bit of water. So here on your screen, you have 3 categories. The first one on the left is your small businesses and sole proprietors. So small businesses, sole proprietors can apply. The payroll costs you would need to take into consideration are your salary, wages, benefits, and taxes. So if you pay your employees health insurance, you would need to put that into the payroll cost. If you pay them benefits such as sick leave or vacation leave, you got to put that in there. So it's basically the entire compensation that you pay your employee. It's not just their salary. Commission and tips are also included on there too. Most likely, what the banks will ask you for is your payroll reports and your income taxes. They may ask you for a few other documents, but we just highlighted the ones that they will most likely ask you for. So if we move to the middle here, independent contractors and self-employed individuals can also apply. When they do their payroll costs, it's the same. If they give themselves a salary, they would include that. They can include wages, commission, income, or even net earnings from self-employment. So what to submit? Most likely the banks will ask you to submit your 1099 miscellaneous forms and your income taxes. If you're self-employed and you don't have a 1099, they will ask you for your income taxes, and they may even ask you for your bank statements to see how much you've been earning and how much money you've been pulling from the bank, your business bank account, to give yourself a salary. Now, at times we do have seasonal employees. So if you are a seasonal employer, the lender will use a 12-week period beginning either February 15th or March 1st of last year and ending June of last year. So instead of going from January to December, they're going to look at that middle period where seasonal employers are usually at the height of their season and utilize that for the calculations. So what can you not include when you're doing your payroll calculation? You cannot include payments that are made to your independent contractors, your 1099 employees. Why? Because as you notice here, independent contractors can actually apply for this program directly. So you cannot include them in your calculation. If you're one company, if you're a business owner and you have 10 employees and they're all 1099s, you cannot include what you pay them in your payroll calculation. You just have to include what you pay yourself. And then apply that way and tell your 1099 employees to apply themselves. Another thing that cannot be included is that if you're an S Corp or C Corp owner and you're not on payroll, shareholders distributions cannot be counted under this program. So if you give yourself a distribution, that amount you cannot put it in the calculation for your payroll. Here's a quick scenario that I'm often asked. I'm an employer, but I have no employees. I'm a company of one. How do I do this? Well, you have to look at your 2019 IRS form 1040 Schedule C, line 31. You're going to look at your net profit. We're going to use that. You're going to take a look at that, divide that by 12, and then multiply it by 2.5. And that's the amount that you want to put on that loan, on that application document. The documents that they may ask you to submit, as mentioned, will be all from last year, either your IRS tax returns, which inside of it you'll have your 1040 schedule. If you're independent contractor, it'll be your 1099 miscellaneous, and they might ask you for some bank statements as well. If you just started working or had your business in January of this year, they'll ask you for bank statements for this year to prove your existence. In scenario 2, I'll just go through this one. This is just a typical small business scenario. Most small businesses have payroll records. So if you have your payroll records, you can just utilize that for this particular application. But if you don't, you'll have to take a look at your 2019 net profit amount, look at your gross wages, tips that are paid, any commissions that are paid, any benefits, any taxes, and get that as a total. Then divide that by 12, multiply by 2.5, and that will be your loan amount. What are the documents that they're going to ask you? Well, they're going to look to see if you have any payroll reports, and they're going to look for your IRS tax returns and the 1040 Schedule C. All of that is in your IRS tax return. Again, if you just opened your business January of this year, you can still apply. You're just going to have to give them your bank statements as proof that your company was opened in January of this year. Real quick, the loan details, again, if you use minimum of 75% for your payroll costs and 25% to spend on your mortgage interest payment, rent or lease payments, or to pay your utilities, 100% of this loan will be forgiven. What I do recommend is that you keep very good tracking records. I apologize. What I do recommend is that you keep very good tracking records. So when the 8 weeks are over and the bank asks you, let me see how you have spent your funds, it'll just be easier for you to give them that proof. Some people are opening up a separate bank account just particularly for these funds, just to make it easier for themselves. And real quick, we do have 2 additional programs. If you currently have an SBA loan, a traditional loan, which is 7A 504 or microloan, SBA will pay the principal and interest for up to 6 months. Or if you're interested in applying for one of these traditional loans, as long as you apply and are approved by September 27th of this year, we will also pay 6 months of principal and interest. This is called the SBA Debt Relief Program. On the other side here, we have our Express Bridge Loan. This is actually for small businesses who currently have a business relationship with an SBA Express lender. So they can access $25,000 with very little paperwork. If you do utilize this program and you also apply for the EIDL loan, then once you get the funding for the EIDL will pay this particular loan off. Important contact information. If you do want to learn any more about all of our disaster programs, go to sba.gov/disaster. There's going to be a tab on the top that says funding programs, and you'll have all of the information that we kind of went through today, and you might get a little bit more details on there. Now for resource partners, again, if you want help in reviewing your application, go to sba.gov/local-assistance, type in your zip code and you'll get that. If you have any questions about the EIDL program or your EIDL loan, please contact our disaster recovery customer service hotline, 1-800-659-2955, 1-800-659-2955, or you can email them, disastercustomerservice@sba.gov. If you do want to know, my office, we're always having webinars and virtual hours throughout the weeks, and you can find that at sba.gov/South Florida. Other ways to stay connected with SBA, go to our local website, sba.gov/South Florida. There's a calendar there that you'll see all of our information. You can also scroll down, and on the right-hand side, you can click on the link to join our email distribution. If you join, you will get up-to-the-minute information whenever SBA has new programs for our small businesses, or whenever we're doing free seminars and webinars for our small businesses. You can also follow us on Twitter at SBA_SouthFL. We also have a YouTube channel where you can view different videos, and you can even email us at southflorida_DO for district office at sba.gov. It's a quick snapshot of all my employees on our staff. We have an office here in Miami, one in Tampa, and one in Fort Pierce. I just like to share, the photos of my team so everybody knows who's behind the phone, who's behind the computer, who is always here to assist them throughout the year. So thank you so much, everyone. We do hope that you are well and you are staying safe. And again, thank you, Brian, and to the Better Business Bureau for allowing me to present today. Back to you, Brian.
Thank you, Victoria. We appreciate that, and lots of great information and updates. And did you want to keep your screen up of, like last time, the resources so people can write those down while we're going through the questions and answers? So we have a few questions that have come in so far, and I encourage anyone who has specific questions, go ahead and type them in now. And we're going to go through these one by one and help give you specific answers to your questions. So we'll start off with the first one. We have a business owner here who is asking, is there financial assistance for single member LLC companies with no employees?
Yes, as long as if you're a single member company, you're an employee of one. So you would fall under that scenario one category. So I would go to your bank, see if they are an SBA approved lender. And if they are, they can help you with the application. If they say they're not accepting any more applications or they're taking very long with your application, I do want to mention to your audience that small businesses always have the option of going to different banks, and you can apply in different locations. There's no penalty and there's no cost for this. And basically what will happen is the first application that we get is the one that will be reviewed and hopefully approved. And then any other applications we get after that, which are duplicate applications, will be canceled. But to answer your question, yes, you do qualify. You just need to see what you pay yourself as a salary and provide proof of that to your bank.
Great, and I think we have a similar question below, which we may get to again, regarding going to your bank, and I think you've reiterated that is any business can apply to any bank. You should start with the bank you bank with first. Some banks are more savvy in the loans, some are overwhelmed, some may process things more quickly than others. So you also want to shop around at different banks if you're not having luck with your own bank. And I think you pointed out earlier, some of the smaller banks or the local banks seem to be more on top of it and getting things processed quicker.
Correct.
Okay. Next question here is I've applied for an EIDL loan, EIDL, back on April 4th. They have not heard back yet. They're asking if they should reapply. So if they haven't received any communication and it's been a long time, how should they handle that?
Well, it would be up to the small business owner. Is this the EIDL loan or the PPP, Brian?
They are being specific with the EIDL loan.
Okay, if it's the EIDL loan, okay, great. If it's the EIDL loan and your application starts with a number 3, that means that your application is being reviewed. So I have been told by small business owners who have received funding that it took them about 4 to 5 weeks from the time that they applied to the time that they were responded to or received the funding. What I recommend is keep an eye on your email, look inside your junk mail and your spam folder, because small business owners have told me that they get emails in there from SBA. And if you want, you can also contact our disaster team at 1-800-659-2955. They're the ones that are managing the EIDL programs. They're open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day of the week. Again, the number is 1-800-659-2955, or you can email them at disastercustomerservice@sba.gov. But what I would do is be patient, wait those 4 to 5 weeks. If you wish, give them a call. Maybe they can give you additional information. But if your application started with a 3, be ensured that it is in the pipeline and it is being reviewed.
Great. The next one is I have applied for an EIDL loan, another EIDL application. They're asking if they should also apply for the PPP loan. They are a one-person small business getting no current income. They need assistance with least amount of additional debt. So I guess they're trying to decide what's the best loan. Should they apply for multiple loans? And what advice you have on that?
Well, I would say yes, apply for the PPP. You should be eligible for that as long as you can provide proof of what your salary was last year versus this year. There is no penalty to apply for multiple loans. You can definitely apply for the EIDL and for the PPP. And remember, with the PPP, if you go to your bank and they have a long wait, you are free to go to other smaller banks or community banks, or even online institutions like PayPal, Intuit, and the like, because they are also accepting applications for the PPP. But yes, I would apply. It doesn't hurt to apply. If you get approved, that's wonderful. If you don't, well, at least you tried and it didn't cost you anything except maybe a little bit of time.
And that's where your resource partners, I guess, can come in handy and help the local SBDC offices. They provide more consultation and where people can decide if they were approved for both loans or one or the other, making the right choice on which direction they want to go. Is that what they're there for, the resource partners?
Exactly. They know all of our programs inside and out. They are our experts. They are business consultants. It's a free service. They can help you in applying for it. They can help you reviewing your financial records. And for some reason, if you are denied, remember you have 6 months to reapply. So you can go back to them and say, listen, I'm not certain why I was denied. Can you please take a look at my application? And they will do that for you. And they will help you reapply as well.
Okay, and then can you give clarification on the factor? They're saying, is the factor 2.5 or 2.5%? I think that's when you're calculating that.
Well, when it's 2.5. So it's whatever your monthly payroll amount is plus 25% more. So the way you would calculate that is you'll look at last year's payroll, divide that by 12, and that's going to give you your average monthly payroll amount. Then that amount, you multiply it by 2.5, and then that will give you that extra 25%. So whatever that total is what you want to put on your application.
Okay, great. The next one, this says SBA bridge loan 25,000. I have downloaded and completed forms 919 and 920, but there are no instructions how or where to submit the form. They said they've tried to call SBA. My local community bank, who they bank with, is directing them to SBA because they didn't know what to do. They are engaged only in processing PPP applications. So it looks like their local bank can only process the PPP. They can't answer the question on the SBA bridge loans. Looks like they're having trouble just getting hold of SBA to ask those questions. If you can help answer that.
Okay, sure.
Like that's what they're looking for.
Yeah. So remember that the SBA bridge loan is only for customers who have an existing relationship with an express lender, which means when we say lender, it's a bank. So it's a tier 1 bank. So basically SBA has different SBA approved banks, and an express lender is one that can process applications much quicker. So you need to have a current relationship already with a bank that is an express lender. It sounds like your bank isn't, so this is why they cannot assist you with that. If you do have another bank, you need to ask them if they are an express lender, an SBA express lender. If they are, they'll know how to process those applications. If they're not, they won't be able to process them, and you will not be able to apply for that because that program is only for existing customers that have an existing relationship with an SBA express lender. So that's why they probably weren't able to assist you with that.
So if this business owner does not have a banking relationship with an SBA express lender, are they going to be able to help them if he finds that as a new bank because he wasn't an existing customer?
He would need to look for a bank that is an SBA express lender and see if that bank is willing to process those applications for them.
Okay, so there may be a chance, even though he doesn't have a banking relationship, that they may be able to help. He should definitely reach out to those express lenders and see if
Yeah,
they're able.
they will have to create a banking relationship with them.
Okay.
Um, but that would be up to the express lender to decide. Typically, the way the program works is for individuals that already have an existing relationship with an express lender.
And on your website with your list of banks, does it identify the ones that are express lenders so people can see those list of banks? Is that available?
No, it doesn't. That list only shows banks and entities that are working the PPP program. But what they can do is, they can go on our SBA.gov national site, or even the South Florida site. But you can do national because sometimes you can do it over the internet and search for SBA Express lenders and see what comes up.
Okay, so there is a list available out there on the internet.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
This person's asking, when will the EIDL loan be available online? I know you mentioned currently the website's not accepting application. I think you suggested sometime this week or next week. If you
Mhm.
want to just re-clarify that.
I am hoping that it'll come online soon. We did get word from headquarters that they are making some system changes behind the scenes because of the new bill that came out. There were some parameters on there that they need to account for electronically, and this is why it hasn't been reopened yet. They told us they will let us know when it will open, so my guess would be as good as yours. But what I do recommend folks in the audience to do is to go to sba.gov/South Florida, and on there, go to the bottom right and join our email distribution list. Because that way, as soon as that portal is open, we're going to send out communication to our small business owners in that list so they can go ahead and apply right away. So again, it's sba.gov /South Florida. Scroll all the way to the bottom right, and there will be a link there to apply for our email distribution list.
Email distribution, great. Do you also share this information on your social media pages? Are those things that you share as well?
Yes, it will be tweeted. It will be tweeted out. I have a public affairs officer that she does. She always keeps people updated via Twitter if you wish to go on there. And if you ever have any questions, you can also email us at southflorida_DO for district office at sba.gov.
Okay. This next person is asking if there is a separate link to apply for the actual EIDL loan rather than just the advance, or is the advance the first step, then SBA will contact for additional info for the actual loan?
Well, both of them it's one and the same, right? So you're going to go to sba.gov/disaster, and there's going to be a red button there. You click on that. Right now, if you click on that, it's just going to take you to another web page because the portal is in there. But once the portal opens, you're going to click on that, and it's going to give you an application form to fill out. It's 3 pages. At the end of the application form, there's going to be a little box on the top left-hand side that's going to say, do you wish to apply for the EIDL advance? Make sure you click on there and before you submit. And then that will tell the loan officer that you do need some money right away. You will get $1,000 per employee, and you'll get that sooner to kind of hold you over until they review your application, and then you will get the full funding at a later time. I do want to say the EIDL loan, the application is not going to ask you how much do you need because SBA loans do not work that way. You're going to have to, once you fill out the 3-page form, a loan officer is going to email you saying, great, thank you for your application. Please send me your income taxes, your financial statements, and he's going to give you a list of things. When you send that to him, he's going to review everything and see how well and strong you are financially from a personal perspective and a business perspective. Based on all that, the SBA will decide we can qualify you for up to this amount. And then that's when they will tell you how much you qualify for the EIDL loan.
Great. This next person received an approval for their PPP loan. They haven't received the funding yet. They said since the approval, it's been about 10 days. So they're wondering, I guess what what should they expect communication wise? Seems like they're having trouble getting a hold of someone for specific answers. What
Well,
they should do.
yeah, the SBA is giving banks to process and close and disperse funds within 15 business days from the time that the application is approved. So you can either wait an extra week or, try giving them a call or emailing them. They need to disperse those funds per SBA guidance.
Okay. Can businesses use the PPP funds to pay for an employee through a temp agency?
It depends on how I mean, that's a very good question. I really don't know. We don't have guidance when there's an employee that is being done through a temp agency, because I don't know if you as the employer would be paying them or if it would be the temp agency that would be paying them. And also, I don't know if that employee is a 1099 employee. If that's the case, then that employee needs to apply themselves. So, you might be paying the temp agency, but the temp agency might have them as a 1099. So I really wouldn't be able to answer that question because we require more information. But when you do go and speak with your bank on doing the application, they can assist you further.
Great. Someone is asking about the webinar. It is being recorded and we will share it after it is complete. We have 8 weeks to use the PPP loan. Can we backdate to April 4th when the stay-at-home order went into effect? It seems like this person's been paying their employees since the stay-at-home order was in effect.
Right.
Can they
No.
backdate it?
Yeah, no, you can't. You can't backdate it. It has to be 8 weeks from the time that you get the funds moving forward. Another thing that I want to note to our small business owners, Brian, is that you got to be very careful and inform your employees. Some folks have laid off their employees temporarily, and the employees have gone on unemployment. So if that's the case, when you do get your funding, you need to rehire those employees and they need to stop being on unemployment. If they don't, there will be a federal investigation because employees cannot double dip. And let's say you try to get your employees back, but they don't want to come back. They're going to stay on unemployment. That's okay. You can either hire other employees, so your head count stays the same from the time that you applied, or you will just notify your bank that now you have less employees, and then they will either reduce the loan so it shows for the amount of employees you currently have on payroll. So you always want to be in communication with your employees and with your bank.
Okay. I think we answered this one. They said got an application number for the idle loan. It's been about 3.5 weeks ago, no word. But I think you clarified that about the time frame. You should wait at least 4 to 5 weeks, give it 4 to 5 weeks to hear something. And then also based on the application number that's on that, if you want to just reiterate that a little bit.
Yes. So again, if you have an application that starts with a 3, that's a good thing. That means that your application is being reviewed. From what I've been told from small business owners who have received the funding, it did take them about 4 to 5 weeks. If you do want to call our disaster team hotline number, they're the ones that manage these disaster loans. You can call 1-800-659-2955, 1-800-659-2955, or you can email disastercustomerservice@sba.gov, disastercustomerservice@sba.gov, and perhaps they might be able to give you more information. Now, Brian, I do want to say, just in case there are folks on the call that applied for the IDA right when it opened, which was the week of March 16th, and or the week after, and they received an application number that starts with the number 2. If your application starts with the number 2, this means that you did the long application form where they had you send in a bunch of financials, right? And that's great that you did that. That's not a problem. But what we have been told to suggest to our small businesses that have an application start with the 2 is that when this portal opens up, to go in there and submit the application again. This is a streamlined application that it's a 3-page application. It's more of an intake form. It's not going to ask you for any financials. But once you do that, you're going to get an application, a new application number. And what will happen on the other side is that they're going to link that application with the one that you originally did that starts with the 2. And that way you will not lose your place in the review pipeline. And the reason I need folks to enter the application again is basically to get your information in the computer system. It's a lot quicker for you to do it than for, a small team of disaster people to go through millions of applications and, manually input it themselves. So, just go ahead and if your application starts with a 2, when the sba.gov/disaster portal opens, just go in there, quickly fill out those 3 pages, and you'll be good to go.
So some people may fear that they applied early, they're reapplying, they could lose their spot. Is this a matter of losing their spot, or is this a matter with efficiency to get them entered electronically, where the first application was more paperwork?
Right, exactly. We just want them to enter the information electronically, and what will happen is that the disaster team will match that information up with their original application that already has all of their financials included. What you can do, I've been just recommending these to small businesses that fall in that category. Once you get that new application number, email disastercustomerservice@sba.gov and attach your original application that has all your financials. Tell them this is my original application number that starts with a 2, and give them the application number. And I recently went online and did the streamlined version, and this is my new application number that starts with a 3. I've been told to send this to you, so you can please match my 2 applications so that I do not lose my space in the review line. And then that way it kind of gives them a heads up that this has already been done, rather than waiting for them to go, sift through all of their applications.
Great. This person is a sole proprietor with no employees. They started their business in September of 2019. They're asking how to calculate the loan amount. They don't specify which loan.
Well, let's see, it's probably the PPP. So from September of 2019 to February of 2020, you would need to add what you made in each, either what you made, or if you pay yourself a salary. If you pay yourself a salary, add what you paid yourself each of those months from September to February, and then divide it by the number of months. And then multiply that by 2.5, and that's what you want to put on the PPP application.
Great. The next one I think we've technically answered. They're saying the banks in their area will only accept your application if you bank with them, which you always want to go with the bank you bank with first as a first start. But banks that you're not banking with, there are some out there that are accepting applications if you don't bank with them, correct?
Yes,
It's
that is
just
correct.
sifting through multiple. You have to connect with many to find the ones that will. There may be some that won't.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. There are multiple ones that, some will ask for a current existing bank account. Others, it's not a required criteria. So you just need to, call around. And again, like I said, I think the smaller ones and the medium-sized banks and credit unions are the ones that are a little bit more flexible. But you can call around and ask around. And worst case scenario, if you do want to open up a new account with another bank, you can do that. Remember, it's recommended that once you get the funds for the PPP program, that you keep it on a separate account. So, it might work best for you that way.
Okay. This person also commented that they applied a week ago, haven't heard anything, but again, I think on average, business owners really have to have the expectation of waiting about 4 to 5 weeks for communication. Seems to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's for the EIDL loan, it's 4 to 5 weeks. If it's for the PPP, it really depends on the bank. I've talked to people who have gotten their funds in, 10 days. I've talked to folks who've gotten their funds in 25 days. So it really depends on the bank that is being used to do the PPP loan. When you go to apply, just ask them, how long is it taking you to, to review, approve, and disperse the funds, and see what they say. And if it's a very long time, maybe consider going to another bank.
Okay. Let's see, our last day to use PPP funds is exactly 8 weeks from start date. Note June 30th, question mark. If my start date is April 16th, my end date would be June 11th, question mark. I guess
Okay,
they're looking for
remember that
clarification.
the June 30th deadline is just to apply.
Okay,
So if you get the funding, you know, in the middle of May, let's say, you still have 8 weeks from that time moving forward, even if it passes the June 30th date. So the June 30th date is only the deadline to apply, not the deadline to use up your funds.
okay. A copy of the presentation, it is being recorded, so we will share it once the recording is finalized. The idle people, let's see, I am an S Corp, but a very small business of one, and I pay myself through a draw, quote, from the business and not a payroll. I was told because I pay through a draw and not payroll, I could not do a PPP. What programs and funds are available to me because of the draw versus payroll?
Okay, so I've been told that if you do a draw, that means you're on a K1. If you're in a K1, you should be able to apply. When you cannot apply is if you're using your disbursements because you're an S Corp or C Corp. If you're using those disbursements as salary for yourself, you cannot utilize that in your calculation. What I would do is go back to your bank and let them know that if you're using what's called a K1 form for your draw at the end of the year, you should be able to apply. If they're unable to assist you, you can go to another bank that might be able to provide you additional information. You can also go directly to our resource partners and they will look into that for you. And if they have an existing relationship with the bank, they might have a little bit more insight as to why they're saying that. For your resource partners, you want to go to sba.gov/local assistance, and you'll be able to find your closest resource partners to you.
If someone calculated, information incorrectly, this one's asking about the PPP loan amount, however, sent the documentation, will they just fix the application? So they're saying if you calculated incorrectly the PPP loan amount, however, sent documentation, will they just fix the application?
It depends on the bank. You should contact your bank and just give them a heads up that, you know, the calculation was done incorrectly, and then see what their process is. I don't know if they will fix it for you or if they will send it back to you. You got to fix it. And I have no idea. Every bank is working these applications a little bit differently. So the best thing to do is contact your bank and let them know.
Okay. This person is applying for personal renter's relief for their home, trying to fill that out, but it's asking for proof that their income has been severely affected, and all they have is bank records showing how much less they're making and paying themselves. Does that relate?
Yeah,
Personal
I don't know that that's an SBA program. We haven't gotten any information in regards to that. So I don't know if that's an SBA program or if that's a state program. I know that the state is also offering different programs for rental relief. So I wouldn't be able to answer that.
Okay, and that's a good example where the SBDC knows about multiple programs. So if they reach out to one of your partners, they may have a little more insight to get those questions answered. This person have applied and the bank said that it was incomplete. Can they apply through another lender because their bank isn't helpful in this case?
Sure.
So if they already applied with one bank, they can try to apply with another bank, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. You can apply with as many banks as you want. You know, some banks will run quicker than others, and some banks you can actually call and speak to a person. Others you can't call. I mean, you can call, but nobody's there to pick up. So you can absolutely reapply to different locations and just make sure whatever information you left out that you don't leave it out this time around.
Okay. And yeah, I think to clarify, businesses are not limited to just one and done application. They can submit
Mhm.
multiple, they can reach out to multiple banks. This is a time where businesses may want to network with other businesses, ask those questions. What banks have you applied for? Get advice from their business friends and see which ones have had better luck with better banks. Do that homework and research so they can make a wise decision on what direction they want to go and what banks are being more responsive to their needs.
Mhm. Absolutely.
This person, this was an early question. We may have answered it. They're asking to recap the financial assistance options available other than the PPP loan and recap what idle loan is. I believe we've done that several times through these questions.
Mhm.
Um, let's keep reading because we have a few more left, and in the sake for time, keep this within the hour. For PPP, is payroll limited to the 75% and mortgage interest, rent and utilities limited to the 25% limits?
No, it's up to you. The 75% is a minimum. So if you, let's say you just want to use it all for payroll, you can do that. As long as you use it all for payroll, you can definitely do that. So it's really up to you. Just keep in mind if you say you're going to use it for payroll and your rent payments and utility payments, the more things you check on there, the more things that the government is going to ask you for. So they'll ask you, for your last couple of statements of the rent, or for your lease, they'll ask you for your last couple of statements of your utilities. Whereas if you're just going to use it for payroll, they'll just ask you for proof of your payroll records.
Okay. Can the loans, any of these loans, be used for company vehicle repairs, such as engine repairs, without back pay required?
Well, you can use either of those loans, but remember, if you use the PPP loan, whatever percentage you're using to pay for those repairs, you're going to have to repay that back to the SBA at 1% interest rate over the next 2 years. So if it cost you $500 to fix your vehicle, you can use the PPP money for that, but those $500, you got to pay it back. It's not forgivable. You got to pay it back within 2 years at a 1% interest rate. If you use your EIDL, you can definitely use your EIDL for that. EIDL is not a forgivable loan, so you can use your EIDL loan and just keep track of how you're using the funds. And EIDL, Economic Injury Disaster Loan, EIDL, is a loan that's a long-term loan at 3.75% interest rate for small businesses.
Okay. I think we answered this. This person applied early in April for the idle loan. They haven't heard from the SBA. Should they reapply? I guess just to reiterate, if they applied early on, I don't know if April was early and they had a number 2 in the application, they do want to reapply to be submitted electronically. But if they're number 3 in their loan application, they are in the hopper, and I don't know, they shouldn't reapply if that's the case, or if you can clarify
No,
that.
no, I wouldn't reapply because they're gonna, if you reapply now, you're gonna be further back on the line than your original one that's way up in the front of the line. So there's no point in reapplying. It's just gonna bog down the system and it's not gonna let other people who never applied get in. So if your application starts with a 3, you're already in line to be reviewed. Remember, it takes 4 to 5 weeks from the time that you submit to the time that you get a response. Remember to check your email, check your junk mail, and check your spam mail, because I've been told that emails from SBA tend to get stuck in there. And worst case scenario, if you're really are anxious and you want to know what's going on, give the disaster team a call. They're the ones that are managing those loans. And you want to call them from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. any day of the week. Their phone number is 800-659-2955, 1-800-659-2955. You can also email them at disastercustomerservice@sba.gov.
And Gloria, I just want to speak on that when you mentioned emails, junk and spam folder. Um, Maybe you can clarify how you communicate through email, but we also want to make small business owners aware. Just be careful when you receive an email from any government agency, just don't click on the first link. Stop for a minute, take a minute to look and read through it, look for signs of potential scammers. trying to take advantage of you, claiming to be SBA. We are seeing reports of that. People are reporting it to scam trackers. So just be aware where the email's coming from. Hover over that link. Look at the true source of destination. Look for grammatical errors. If there's a lot of grammatical errors, that's a red flag that it could be a scammy email. I don't know if you can elaborate on that or
Yeah, I
just
think
clarify.
yeah, I'm so happy you brought that up, Brian, because just yesterday, one of my team members received an email supposedly from me. And luckily she called me. She's like, did you just email me? I said, no. And we noticed it, we looked at the URL and sure enough, it was spam. So if government usually has, how it's usually like, bbb.com for commercial,
Mhm.
government is .gov for government, G-O-V. So if it's a legitimate uh, email, you want to look at that URL, like you said, and make sure that it says .gov on it. If it does not, then it's not legitimate. And if, I had a small business saying that they got an email that it looked like it was coming from, it was a Latin America kind. It said SBA,
Mhm.
it said SBA.gov, and then it said / Santo Domingo or something like that. So even that you need to be very careful with. But from what I've been told, usually if you see the .gov on there, it's usually legit. But as you mentioned, if the words are misspelled, or if there has a different country name on there, that's spam and you don't want to open that.
Yeah, I think the key behind any type of scammy situation is we're all in a rush. We want these things now. Scammers see this as opportunity to take advantage of that. So just stopping for a minute, reviewing what we're receiving. Don't just click and fill out a form because it says SBA or whatever entity it says it is. Just look at what you're doing first. If you have questions, this is where BBB is a great resource for you as a business. You can always reach out to one of our many offices, send us an email, give us a call, and we can help look at that with you and definitely help you with that. We are very in tune with the latest scams happening out there. This person says, can I get an idle loan as an S Corp who pays via draw versus payroll? This might be a duplicate question. If not, can I change the way I pay myself now to some sort of payroll and qualify? I believe we
No,
had that.
yeah, and we did have that, but you cannot change the way you pay yourself right now because they're looking at how you paid yourself last year.
Okay. Let's see. Employee is W-2. We pay temp invoice. I think we answered that. Is the advance on the idle forgivable?
Yes, it is
Okay.
forgivable, and you'll get $1,000 per W-2 employee you have on payroll.
Okay, here's clarity on the question. Is the advance on the idle loan forgivable like the PPP loan? I think you answered that. That's
It is.
um go
Brian,
ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. What I do want to tell people that I had forgotten, if you get the idle advance and you get the PPP, since both of them are forgivable and we don't want folks to double dip, what I've been told will occur is, let's say you get an idle advance of $5,000 and you get a PPP loan for $100,000. Since that PPP loan is potentially forgivable, what they will do is that they will reduce the $5,000 from the $100,000. So in the PPP loan, you will get $95,000. And they're doing that so people do not double dip, since both funds are forgivable.
Okay. Also, if you can clarify, you mentioned earlier in the presentation, there's some questions around this about what things wouldn't qualify. And in the last webinar, you said they didn't, but there's been some word out there that they may change the whole nonprofit industry, the 501c3s, the 501c6s. Are they now eligible under this new funding, or has
Now,
that?
I haven't gotten any word that that has changed, Brian. We were hoping that it would, because I know there was a lot of 501c6s that, were really, requesting the assistance. But as of right now, I have not gotten any word that that has changed. So 501c6 and 501c7 currently do not qualify for these programs.
Okay, 501c3s?
They do.
Okay, 501c3s do. Okay. Would a contribution to the SEP plan be qualified for idle loan for a self-employed business owner?
Well, for the EIDL loan, remember, they're going to look at your financials, and they're going to look at, the health of your business financially, the health of the individual financially, and based on that, they will provide you with a loan amount that the government feels comfortable in giving you. So whether the SEP is in there or not, they're not even going to look for that. They're going to look at your financials overall. And that's for the EIDL loan.
For the EIDL.
Mhm.
Being an S Corp and sole employee who works remotely from home, their main concern is that they work with corporations that are not open and have not made any money in 2 months. So it is not payroll as much as lost revenue. Paying myself via draw versus payroll is hurting them. What can they do?
Well, these loans are not intended to replace revenue per se, but if they are taking money out of the bank to pay themselves, kind of like a draw, and there hasn't been any money coming in, they're a sole proprietor, I think you mentioned, is that right?
This is a S Corp and sole employee. So they're S Corporation, but they're their own employee.
Yeah, they can still apply for the PPP loan though. So they would just need to speak with their local bank and they can assist them with the applications. If folks want to look at what the application looks like, when you go to sba.gov/disaster, you click under funding programs, you will see a sample of the application form there. You can also go to treasury.gov. There's going to be a red banner on the top that says COVID relief. Click on there. It's going to take you to a page with a lot of different PDFs. There's a lot of FAQs there. If you have questions about the PPP program, you can click on there and look at the FAQs. They're really good. There's an FAQ on how to calculate the salary for yourself, depending on what type of business you are. So that's a very good FAQ. And the actual fillable application is on there too. So if you want to take a look at all these great resources, go to treasury.gov and click on the red banner on the top that says COVID relief, and it's going to take you to that page where you'll see a whole bunch of PDFs that you can go through.
Okay. Victoria, just to check in with you, we're 10 minutes over the hour. We still have about 10 questions left. We still have a lot of people attending, about 56. Are you okay with giving it a few more minutes?
Yes, but I will have to wrap up because I do have another webinar waiting for me that's starting at 11, but I have my colleague there and I'm going to tell her to please kick it off for me.
Okay, we'll try to breeze through these then. I missed the start. If we have money left over in our PPP account and did not use it at all, do we still have to pay the rest back plus 1%?
No, you don't. If you don't use it at all, you just tell the bank you don't need the money and you can give it back to them. That's not a problem. There's no penalty for that.
They had their business since 2005. However, I only use my personal account for business transaction. Can they still apply for the loans?
Well, they can, but they may get some challenges because what I've heard is that when the money is going into the account, if the government sees that's a personal account, they're going to pull it back because they're going to think that is just fraud. So what I would recommend is to open up a business account and put that business account information on the application.
Okay. This person's EIDL advanced application was processed first, then applied for the PPP and received funds. Now the EIDL advance came in. Does that mean the EIDL advance will be forgiven?
Yes, if the EIDL advance was done first and they did the PPP next, they should have deducted that EIDL advance from the PPP. So you shouldn't have a problem. Both will be forgiven. And the PPP is forgiven only if you use it in those categories that we mentioned.
Okay, I think that has wrapped up the questions. It's at the end. So we'll use that as an opportunity to come to a close with the webinar. I think it's also important to point out that businesses should look for alternative grants that are out there. We're noticing that there are local county and municipality grants that are being available to small businesses. So reach out to your local municipalities, go on their social media pages. There's a lot of promotion of this. So wherever you're located, seek that out. and look for those grants and funds available to you. Again, Better Business Bureau is always a resource. You can reach out to us. We can look into those things for you as well and help you through that process. Victoria, thank you very much for having us today. Again, this webinar has been recorded. We will share it after the webinar ends. And we appreciate your time and answering all these questions. And we're looking forward to have you on again as needed, and we get more communication from our business owners out there.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Brian, for having me on. I do appreciate it.
Thank you for your time, and you have a great day.
Thank you too. Bye-bye.